All right, I've gotten more requests to cover this band than any of the last couple of years. One of our most requested videos. They're definitely one of the most underappreciated rock bands in history. As a group that sold 10 million albums and became superstars in Europe, here in America, they're kind of a well-kept secret for some, but their debut album accidentally became a massive import hit, selling 50,000 copies before anyone even knew what was happening. For this one, I'm going to count down my top 3 picks from their catalog, which includes one song where the lead singer wasn't hitting the vocals with enough intensity. So his producer set up the mic stand on a crossbeam 35 feet in the air in an old barn, and he made the singer climb up there and record the whole track. Would the circus stunt actually bring out the best in the vocalists, or would it completely backfire? We got the story and even more great stuff coming up next on Professor of Rock. Hey music junkies, I got a short and sweet video for you today on a band that I've received more requests for than anything over the last couple of years. If you know them, I'm telling you, you're going to be psyched. If you don't know them, you're going to be over the moon to discover them. I'm talking about Saga. All right, let's get into it. In 1977, just outside Toronto in Oakville, Ontario, a group of musicians were about to create something that would leave a lasting mark on progressive rock. Rising from the ashes of an earlier band called Pockets, Saga was born. The founding lineup featured vocalist and multi-instrumentalist Michael Sadler, bassist Jim Crichton, his brother Ian Crichton on guitar, and drummer Steve Nagus, also keyboardist Jim Gilmore. Together, they crafted a sound that blended the technical brilliance of prog rock with infectious melodies and a futuristic sci-fi edge. Their self-titled debut hit shelves in 1978. And right out of the gate, fate smiled on them. A Toronto record store started exporting Canadian albums to Germany, and before anyone knew it, Saga's debut album sold 50,000 copies as an import. Riding that momentum, Saga returned to the studio in 1979 for their second album, Images, at Twilight. The single, It's Time, became their first chart hit, climbing into the top 10 on Canadian radio. 1980's Silent Night kept the ball rolling. But it was 1981's Worlds Apart that truly launched Saga into the stratosphere. This album cracked the US top 30 and went platinum in Canada. The single On the Loose became a massive MTV staple and hit number 3 on the US rock charts. The success of Worlds Apart turned Saga into road warriors. They toured relentlessly across the US, also Canada and Europe. Then in 1983, Saga dropped Heads or Tails, and while it didn't match Worlds Apart's numbers in North America, it went to number 1 in Germany. The album produced 3 solid singles, Scratching the Surface, Scratching the Surface, you better come up for it, The Flyer, and Catwalk. Around this time, Saga became the first Canadian rock group to perform behind the Iron Curtain. They were also honored with Germany's prestigious Gold Ticket Award for being the year's top-selling concert act. But while they were household names across Europe, especially in Germany and Scandinavia, back home in North America, Saga were more of a well-kept secret. But it's a secret that definitely needed to come out. I love Saga. The momentum would continue with 1985's Behavior, which also hit number 1 in Germany and found success in US and Canada. That's a great album. You got to hear it. They also released 2 more albums in the 80s, 1987's Wildest Dream, followed by 1989's The Beginner's Guide to Throwing Shapes, another one I really like. The band kept pushing forward in the 90s. They saw them experimenting more, though. In 2007, Michael Sadler, the voice of Saga, departed to focus on his family, but he did return in 2011. The band kept releasing solid albums and touring internationally throughout the 2000s and beyond. In fact, in 2017, after 40 years and 22 studio albums, Saga announced their retirement with the final chapter farewell tour. Still, the bands continue to play sporadic shows and festivals into the 2020s, proving that their story refuses to end. With 10 million albums sold and performances for over 15 million people in more than 20 countries, Saga carved out a legacy that's impossible to ignore. Now, they may not have received the recognition they deserved here in America, but man, across the Atlantic, they were superstars. And, for those of us who discovered them, whether through On the Loose on MTV or digging deeper into their prog masterpieces, Saga remains one of Canada's greatest musical exports. All right, here are my top three Saga picks. Coming in at number 3 from their 1981 album Worlds Apart, it's a song about a compulsive gambler, Wind 'Em Up. Lead singer Michael Sadler came up with a story of Aldo, who hits the casino and gets entranced by the action. He's wound like a clock, a metaphor for how he's spinning out of control. The character in the song isn't based on any particular person, though. It's the embodiment of someone who can't control his compulsions. Said Sadler about it, "I don't know if there's a lesson to be learned or a moral to that, but it's about gambling and the addiction factor." The song's lyrics, although standing at his table, those were reportedly inspired by the band observing the manic energy of gamblers in casinos during their tours. They witnessed firsthand the tight-wound clock, the nature of addiction, watching people lose themselves on the machines and the tables. He watches as the wheel stops spinning, sees the number that is winning. That energy, that desperation, that compulsion, it all made its way into Wind 'Em Up. Once he starts, it's hard to stop. He's keeping up pace. The song became one of Saga's most recognizable tracks, and the Aldo character became a part of the band's identity throughout the 80s. Wind 'Em Up, that reached number 64 on the Billboard Hot 100 and number 24 on the US rock charts. All right, coming in at number 2 from their album Heads or Tails, I've got The Flyer. Now, historically, this track cemented Saga's massive status in Germany, where they were much more popular than here in America. Released in 1983 during the Cold War era, The Flyer's lyrics, "Nobody's Gonna Shoot Me Down," that resonated deeply with German audiences who knew something about guarded borders. Many fans interpreted it as a metaphor for a defector fleeing East Germany. Meanwhile, for the band, it reflected the intense burnout of their already grueling tour schedule. The Flyer kind of represented the band member who was desperate to hang the sign "Do Not Disturb" from their hotel door and really disappear from the music industry machine. The Flyer's signature sound, though, sparked a critical misunderstanding that truly angered Saga's guitarist Ian Crichton. Now, by 1983, synthesizers were dominating the airwaves, of course, and guitar heroes were becoming endangered species. To survive, Crichton developed a hyper-technical mute-picking style he called the Saga guitar sound. His goal was to play the guitar with such terrifying staccato precision that it would blend seamlessly with Jim Gilmore's synthesizers. It would create a wall of sound where you couldn't tell where the guitar ended and the keyboard began. Autograph kind of copied that. Flyer is the ultimate example of this technique. But the plan worked too well. When the album Heads or Tails was released, music critics slammed the band for abandoning rock and drowning in synthesizers, completely failing to realize that the synths were actually a human playing the guitar at an elite level. Crichton has frequently voiced his frustration about having to constantly defend that he wasn't a keyboard player, but rather a guitarist beating the machines at their own game. The Flyer reached number 79 on the Billboard Hot 100, much bigger than his chart position, but also went to number 19 on the US rock charts. All right, for my number 1 pick, I got to go with the second track from the Worlds Apart album, On the Loose, the song that put them on the map. So this song went through like 47 different sets of lyrics for the chorus. Actually, the band's manager, a guy named Clyde, believed the song could be a massive single, so everybody got involved in brainstorming the words for the chorus's final lyrics so they could really get it right. They eventually settled on the Loose. Said Sadler about it, "On the Loose is blowing off steam. Everybody's got to just let it out every once in a while. You can't keep things inside, you know. Tonight I'm on the loose, we're on the loose, you're on the loose." It's as simple as that, really. At the time, it's gotten more so, you know, stress for everyone, every single human on this planet. Every once in a while, you got to let it go and just blow it out and deal with the consequences later. His words. He said, you got to open that valve every once in a while. The song's real drama, though, happened during the recording session at the Farmyard Studios in England. The producer, Rupert Hine, he felt that Michael Sadler wasn't capturing enough angst and impending doom for the track's vocals. So he came up with a crazy idea to help the track's sense of danger come to life. The studio they were recording in was a converted barn that had crossbeams running across the length of the building. So one day when Sadler walked into the studio to record his vocals, he actually couldn't find his microphone, and he asked Rupert where it was, and he replied, "It's up there." He's like, "Up where?" Sadler looked, where he pointed to one of the crossbeams high up in the air, about 35 to 40 feet off the ground. So he had jerry-rigged the microphone stand up on one of the beams, and there was a ladder next to it. And of course, Sadler was supposed to climb up on the ladder on the crossbeam and sing the entire song from way up there. The crazy thing is, he actually did it. There's even a picture of it on the album. Sadler sitting up there, just balancing himself, no ropes or anything. As it turns out, way up there, balancing his life, Sadler was finally able to sing with that sense of urgency that Rupert Hine was looking for. Released in September of '81, On the Loose was Saga's highest charting hit on the Billboard Hot 100. It reached number 26 on the US rock charts, though. It soared all the way to number 3. So there you have it, Saga's top 3. What do you think? What are your feelings about Saga? What do you think about this band? I love them. I think they're so underappreciated. I'll link to their music below. Let's have a great discussion below remembering them. Make sure to get your tickets to Professor of Rock Live, John Fogerty. It's going to be a great night. We'll love to see you there. If you like our content, we invite you to subscribe. Till next time, 3 chords and the truth, my friends.